Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Today we bring you an inspiring story. The story of a man who proved that with dedication, education, and hard work, anyone can reach the highest offices in the world. This is the story of Rishi Sunak, the first British Prime Minister of Indian origin, a symbol of hope for millions of immigrants and young people around the world. So sit back, relax, and watch till the end for a powerful lesson that might change your life. Rishi Sunak was born on May 12, 1980, in the coastal city of Southampton, England. His story, in many ways, reflects the story of thousands of immigrant families who arrived in the United Kingdom with dreams bigger than their means, but with a determination stronger than any obstacle. His parents were of Indian origin, tracing their roots back to Punjab in India and East Africa. They were part of that generation who left behind their homeland in search of better opportunities and a brighter future for their children. Rishi's father worked as a family doctor, a general practitioner, someone who spent his days caring for people, listening to their problems, and providing comfort and healing. His mother, on the other hand, ran a small local pharmacy in their neighborhood. It wasn't a giant business or a big chain, but it was a vital part of the community. For many families living nearby, that pharmacy was more than just a place to buy medicine. It was a place where people came for advice, for help, and for a friendly chat when they felt unwell or worried. Growing up in this environment, Rishi saw firsthand what hard work looked like. His parents would leave home early and often came back late. His father would be called out for patients at odd hours. His mother would spend long days behind the counter, talking to customers, sorting stock, and balancing the accounts to keep the business running smoothly. There were no shortcuts. There were no big breaks. Just long hours, loyal customers, and the trust they built with their community through honesty and dedication. As a young boy, Rishi didn't just watch his parents work hard. He joined in too. After school or during weekends, you could find him in the small pharmacy, standing behind the counter with his mother. He would help serve customers, restock shelves, or run quick errands when needed. Sometimes, he would help with simple accounting tasks, counting coins, checking receipts, or organizing paperwork. These may seem like small chores to some people, but for Rishi, they were real lessons about life. He learned how difficult it is to run a small business, how every penny counts, how important it is to keep your word, and how vital it is to build relationships with people. He saw how his mother treated every customer with respect, whether they came in with a small prescription or just for advice. He understood that small businesses are the backbone of communities, and that they survive only when the people running them put in real effort every single day. More than anything, Rishi learned about sacrifice. He saw his parents put their own comfort aside to make sure their family could move forward. He understood the meaning of responsibility, not just to oneself, but to the people who rely on you. Even as a young boy, these lessons were shaping him in ways that would stay with him for the rest of his life. School was important too. His parents knew that education was the key to unlocking new opportunities. They worked hard so that Rishi and his siblings could get the best possible education. He studied at some of the best schools, but he never forgot where he came from. The values he carried were simple yet powerful: honesty, discipline, and service to others. In interviews, Rishi has often spoken about how those early days in his mother's pharmacy taught him about real people's problems. He learned to listen to people's worries and understood how government policies affect small businesses and ordinary families. Years later, when he stepped into the world of finance and later politics, these lessons gave him a perspective that many people in big offices often forget: that every decision made at the top affects the lives of hard-working families at the bottom. The discipline he learned at home helped him in his studies and later in his career. He studied philosophy, politics, and economics at Oxford University, one of the world's most prestigious universities. After that, he went on to study for an MBA at Stanford University in the United States. Even there, he didn't lose touch with his roots. His friends and teachers often described him as hardworking, humble, and curious, someone who never took his opportunities for granted. As he built his career in business and later in politics, Rishi often spoke about how much he owed to his parents and their journey. He knew that his achievements were built on the foundation laid by the sacrifices they made years ago when they first arrived in the UK. He often said that watching his mother struggle with the pharmacy accounts inspired his interest in how the economy works and how good policies can help small businesses grow and create jobs. Whenever he faced tough choices in his career, those memories of standing behind the pharmacy counter reminded him of the people he was trying to serve. In a way, the small pharmacy in Southampton was his first school in understanding society, a place where he saw every kind of person walk in, from the elderly to young parents to students, each with their own hopes and worries. Rishi Sunak's journey shows how strong values passed down by parents can shape a child's life forever. The honesty, hard work, and sense of duty he learned in his childhood stayed with him as he stepped into bigger roles. And while his story may seem unique because of the titles and offices he holds today, its core message is universal: that the small lessons we learn at home, in family businesses, or from our parents' struggles, are often the ones that prepare us best for life's biggest challenges. And so, when you see Rishi Sunak on television, giving speeches, making decisions, or talking about the economy, remember that behind the suit and the big office is the boy who once stood behind his mother's pharmacy counter, learning how to count change, balance books, and treat every customer with respect. Lessons that shaped not just his career, but his character as well. Rishi Sunak always had a love for learning. From a young age, he understood that education was not just about getting good grades. It was a path to new opportunities and a better future. His parents, who had sacrificed so much to settle in the UK, made sure their son had access to the best possible education. He attended some of the top schools in the country. One of the most important stages of his early education was at Winchester College, one of the oldest and most respected private schools in the United Kingdom. Founded in the 14th century, Winchester is known not just for academic excellence, but for instilling discipline, leadership, and a sense of duty among its students. While at Winchester, Rishi stood out among his classmates. He was known for his sharp mind, quiet confidence, and strong sense of responsibility. His teachers and fellow students respected him for his hard work and his ability to stay focused on his goals. He didn't just blend into the crowd, he rose through it. His leadership qualities were recognized early on when he became the head boy at Winchester. This role was not just about wearing a badge of honor. It meant setting an example for others, representing the student body, and earning the trust of both students and teachers. After finishing at Winchester, Rishi set his sights even higher. He went on to study philosophy, politics, and economics, commonly known as PP, at Oxford University. PP is one of the most famous and competitive degrees in Britain. Many of the country's top politicians, economists, and public figures have studied this course. It combines deep thinking about human values and ethics with practical knowledge about how societies and economies function. At Oxford, Rishi continued to prove himself. The workload was demanding and the competition intense, but he thrived in that environment. He was someone who enjoyed the challenge, reading late into the night, debating ideas with classmates, and absorbing every bit of knowledge he could. His friends often described him as someone who balanced ambition with humility. He knew where he came from, and he never let success make him arrogant. After completing his degree at Oxford, he knew he wanted to gain more experience and expand his understanding of the world. So he crossed the Atlantic and went to the United States to study for a Master of Business Administration, an MBA, at Stanford University in California. Getting into Stanford is not easy. It's one of the world's most prestigious business schools. He went there as a Fulbright scholar, which is an award given to students who have exceptional academic records and leadership potential. Stanford wasn't just about studying for Rishi. It was where his personal life took an important turn too. It was there that he met Akshata Murthy, the daughter of Narayana Murthy, one of India's most successful entrepreneurs and the founder of the giant technology company Infosys. Akshata was known for her own ambitions, her creativity, and her strong connection to her family's legacy. Meeting at Stanford, they found common ground. Both were intelligent, hard-working, and shared values of family, discipline, and service. Many people like to talk about how Rishi married into wealth, and how his wife comes from one of India's richest families. But what people sometimes forget is that before all of this, Rishi had already built a path through his own talent, effort, and discipline. His education, work ethic, and reputation were not gifts handed to him. They were earned through years of study, sacrifice, and staying focused when it would have been easier to take shortcuts. At Stanford, he made friendships that helped him understand the global economy and new ways of doing business. He learned how big companies work, how technology shapes the future, and how ideas can be turned into successful ventures. He also learned how to work with people from different backgrounds and cultures, a skill that would later help him in politics when dealing with complex negotiations and diverse opinions. Rishi's years at Oxford and Stanford gave him a solid foundation in both ideas and action. He wasn't just someone who understood theory. He also knew how to get things done. These experiences prepared him for the world of business and, eventually, public service. After finishing his MBA, Rishi didn't just rely on family connections. He worked in investment banking and then in hedge funds, fields that demand sharp thinking, quick decision-making, and the ability to handle enormous pressure. In these roles, he learned how money moves around the world, how markets react, and how financial systems can be used to support or damage economies. Every step along the way, Rishi's discipline, focus, and calm under pressure made him stand out. Colleagues described him as polite but firm, ambitious but grounded, someone who knew when to listen and when to speak up. He didn't shout to be heard. Instead, his work spoke for him. Even after marrying into a wealthy and well-known family, he kept working hard to build his own name and credibility. He never wanted to be known just as someone's son-in-law. He wanted to prove that he had the skills, the knowledge, and the determination to make a difference on his own terms. His journey shows that true success is rarely about shortcuts or connections alone. It's about putting in the hours, reading that extra page, preparing for that tough meeting, and staying true to your values even when no one is watching. From Winchester College to Oxford, and then to Stanford, Rishi Sunak's educational journey shows how much doors can open when you combine natural intelligence with discipline and a strong sense of purpose. And though his story might seem extraordinary, its roots are simple. A boy who loved to study, parents who encouraged him to dream big, and the willingness to work for every opportunity he got. After finishing his studies, Rishi Sunak stepped straight into the demanding world of global finance. For someone with his background and training, the next logical move was to join one of the world's top financial institutions. And that's exactly what he did. He started his career at Goldman Sachs, one of the biggest and most respected investment banks in the world. Working at Goldman Sachs is not for the faint-hearted. It's a place where only the best survive. A place that tests your patience, discipline, and ability to handle pressure every single day. It's also a place where young minds learn the real meaning of hard work. At Goldman Sachs, Rishi gained hands-on experience in investment banking, working long hours, analyzing complex deals, and advising big companies on how to raise money and grow their businesses. This early phase in investment banking gave Rishi a front-row seat to how the world's financial systems operate. He learned how businesses raise capital, how markets react to global events, and how trust and reputation play a huge role in big money decisions. It wasn't glamorous all the time. There were late nights, piles of spreadsheets, endless meetings, but Rishi took it all in as valuable training for the future. After Goldman Sachs, Rishi didn't stop there. He moved into the highly competitive world of hedge funds. Hedge funds are different from traditional banking. They deal with large sums of money, high-risk investments, and require a very sharp understanding of how economies shift and how markets behave. In this world, a single bad decision can mean millions lost, while a smart move can bring huge gains. Rishi thrived in this fast-paced environment. His colleagues often described him as someone with a razor-sharp mind, quick to grasp details, but also able to see the bigger picture. He could handle stress calmly, think clearly when others panicked, and find solutions to problems that seemed impossible at first glance. This combination of a cool head, deep knowledge, and a practical approach made him stand out among his peers. In these years, Rishi saw both the opportunities and the flaws of the global financial system. He learned how connected the world's economies are, how a decision made in one country could impact markets on the other side of the globe. He understood how government policies, interest rates, and international events could shape people's jobs, savings, and livelihoods. Yet, despite his success in finance, there was always a part of Rishi that felt something was missing. He had grown up watching his parents serve their community, his father as a doctor and his mother as a pharmacist. He had learned early on that true fulfillment often comes not just from personal success, but from doing something that helps others. Deep inside, Rishi always carried this desire to serve his country, to use what he had learned in classrooms, boardrooms, and late-night strategy meetings to make life better for ordinary families. He knew that while finance taught him about money and markets, politics could give him a chance to shape the bigger rules that affect everyone's daily life: taxes, healthcare, education, jobs. So, after building a strong reputation and securing financial stability through his work in banking and hedge funds, he made a bold decision. He stepped away from the corporate world and entered politics. For many people, leaving a lucrative career for the uncertain world of public service would seem risky, maybe even foolish. But for Rishi, it was the natural next step. He didn't jump in just for power or status. He wanted to bring real-world experience into government, to bridge the gap between how policies are made and how they actually impact people's lives and businesses on the ground. He believed that someone who truly understood how the economy worked from the inside could help design better policies that create jobs, encourage growth, and support small businesses like his mother's pharmacy. Entering politics meant starting over in many ways. He had to prove himself all over again, not in a boardroom, but in local communities, party meetings, and public debates. He had to listen to people's worries, explain complex economic ideas in simple terms, and earn the trust of voters who wanted someone honest and capable to represent them. Yet, Rishi embraced this challenge with the same discipline and calm confidence that had defined him in his earlier career. His sharp mind and practical problem-solving attitude gave him an edge, but it was his ability to connect with people, to listen and to understand, that made him different from so many others in politics. His background in global finance gave him a unique perspective. He could see the big picture, but also understood how every policy decision trickled down to affect families, workers, and small business owners. It was as if the boy who once helped his mother behind the pharmacy counter had now come full circle, ready to help shape the rules that could help millions of small businesses thrive. Rishi's journey from investment banking to politics is not just about changing jobs. It's about returning to his roots. The lessons he learned from his parents about service, honesty, and responsibility were still guiding him, just on a bigger stage now. He knew that real leadership is not about showing off power, but about using it wisely to serve others. In the end, his story reminds us that even when success comes through finance, true satisfaction often lies in giving back. For Rishi Sunak, the sharp suits and big deals of Wall Street and London were just one part of the journey. The bigger dream was always to serve his country, to use what he had learned to build a fairer, stronger, and more prosperous future for the people who trusted him to lead. In 2015, Rishi Sunak took his first big step into the world of politics when he became a Member of Parliament for Richmond, a beautiful and historic area in North Yorkshire. Richmond is a place of rolling green hills, charming villages, and strong communities with deep local traditions. Winning this seat was not a small achievement. It had been held by respected leaders before him, so people expected someone who would truly care about local issues and stand up for their needs in Parliament. From his first days as an MP, Rishi worked hard to earn the trust of his voters. He didn't just show up for photo opportunities. He listened to people's concerns, visited farms, schools, and local businesses, and made sure he stayed connected with the daily lives of the families he represented. Residents described him as polite, approachable, and genuinely interested in what they had to say. He wasn't the kind of politician who made big promises and disappeared. He stayed present, answered questions, and tried to find practical solutions. His calm and respectful style won him respect inside and outside Parliament. He was never the loudest voice in the room, but when he spoke, people listened. Slowly but surely, he rose through the ranks. Other senior politicians noticed his discipline, sharp mind, and ability to stay calm under pressure, qualities that are rare but very valuable in politics. Then, in 2020, Rishi Sunak's political journey took a dramatic leap. He was appointed Chancellor of the Exchequer, one of the most powerful and demanding jobs in the UK government. The Chancellor is responsible for the country's finances, setting taxes, managing public spending, and making decisions that affect millions of people's lives. It's a job that requires not only a deep understanding of economics, but also the ability to make tough choices and handle huge responsibility. Just weeks after Rishi stepped into this huge role, the world changed overnight. The COVID-19 pandemic hit the UK and the rest of the world, bringing fear, uncertainty, and massive economic challenges. Shops closed, businesses struggled, people lost their jobs, and entire industries came to a standstill. It was a once-in-a-century crisis that no one was fully prepared for. As Chancellor, Rishi had to act quickly. Millions of people were looking to the government for help. Families worried about paying bills, small business owners scared of losing everything they had built, and workers who didn't know if they would have jobs to return to. Rishi and his team worked day and night to come up with support packages that would protect as many people as possible from financial ruin. One of his most well-known measures was the furlough scheme, a plan that paid a large part of workers' salaries so companies wouldn't have to lay off staff. This helped millions of families keep their incomes during lockdowns. He also introduced loans and grants to support businesses, big and small, and brought in other relief measures to keep the economy moving during the darkest days of the pandemic. Throughout this crisis, people noticed how Rishi handled himself. He didn't panic. He didn't make big, dramatic speeches. Instead, he explained things clearly, made himself available for questions, and adjusted plans when needed. Even people who didn't agree with all his decisions respected the fact that he communicated calmly and honestly about difficult situations. His actions didn't solve every problem. No government could do that in such a crisis, but many people believed his quick support prevented much worse economic damage. For families, small businesses, and self-employed workers, the emergency help packages were a lifeline when the future looked frightening and uncertain. Rishi Sunak's leadership during the pandemic showed the same qualities he had displayed since his childhood: discipline, responsibility, and a deep sense of duty. He knew that making the right decisions in government often means balancing complex needs, protecting the economy, supporting people, and planning for the future all at once. He was praised by supporters and even by some of his critics for staying steady when the country needed clear, level-headed leadership. His calm presence, combined with his background in finance and economics, made people feel they could trust him to handle the nation's finances during one of the toughest times in recent history. Beyond the big numbers and financial plans, Rishi stayed grounded in the everyday struggles of ordinary people. Perhaps because he had never forgotten his own family's small pharmacy and the lessons he learned serving customers behind the counter. Even when dealing with billions of pounds in national spending, he always talked about the impact on local businesses and working families. His time as Chancellor during COVID-19 strengthened his reputation as a politician who doesn't just talk. He acts, and he does so with care and responsibility. For many, this period showed what kind of leader he could be in even bigger roles in the future. Rishi's journey from a young MP in Richmond to the Chancellor guiding the UK through a global crisis is a reminder that true leadership often comes quietly, through calm words, clear thinking, and a steady hand when storms hit. He didn't plan for the pandemic, but when it arrived, he stepped up, just as he had always stepped up when duty called. In October 2022, Rishi Sunak reached a point in his journey that made history. He became the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. It was a moment that caught the world's attention, not just because of his age or his economic background, but because he broke barriers that many once thought impossible. Rishi became the first person of Indian origin to hold this powerful office in Britain, a country that once ruled India during colonial times. For many people, especially those from immigrant families, this was more than just a political change. It was a symbol of how far Britain has come as a diverse, modern society. It showed that your family's story, no matter how far it begins from Downing Street, can still lead you right to its famous black door if you work hard and serve with honesty. Rishi was also the first Hindu to become Prime Minister of the UK. On the day he was appointed, millions of people from the Indian community and beyond felt a sense of pride and hope. It was a reminder that faith and cultural roots do not have to hold anyone back. They can stand side by side with national duty and leadership at the highest level. His rise was not handed to him easily. The time when he took office was filled with challenges: economic troubles, political uncertainty, and a country still recovering from the effects of the pandemic and other global events. Many doubted whether someone so young, with so much on his shoulders, could handle the weight of the job. But Rishi stepped into the role the same way he always had: calmly, prepared to listen, ready to make tough decisions, and determined to put service before self-interest. For many young people, his story has become a powerful example that your background, your skin color, or your family history should never limit what you can dream of becoming. It reminded millions that if you have talent, discipline, and a genuine will to serve others, doors can open. Even the biggest door in British politics. As Prime Minister, Rishi has remained focused on key goals that reflect both his economic expertise and his connection to ordinary families. He continues to push for growing the UK economy in a fair and stable way, encouraging investment, supporting local businesses, and trying to create more opportunities for good jobs. He understands that a strong economy is not just about big numbers on a chart, but about real security for families, the ability to pay bills, own homes, and plan for a better future. At the same time, he has kept his promise to stay connected with communities across the country. He knows that being Prime Minister is not just about big speeches in Parliament. It's about listening to the hopes and struggles of people in villages, towns, and cities. He continues to visit local projects, schools, and businesses, talking to people face to face and reminding them that their voices matter at the highest levels of government. Rishi Sunak's journey, from helping in his mother's pharmacy to leading the UK as Prime Minister, stands as an inspiration for millions. He shows young people, especially those from immigrant families, that no dream is too big if you have the courage to chase it with discipline, honesty, and a heart for service. For him, the work is far from finished. The challenges facing any leader today are huge: economic pressures, global conflicts, climate change, and the responsibility to bring people together in divided times. But Rishi's story so far shows that real leadership is not about running away from problems, but about facing them head-on, no matter how difficult they are. In every speech, meeting, and decision, he carries the lessons he learned long ago. In his family's small pharmacy, in the classrooms of Oxford and Stanford, in the tough world of finance, and in the quiet corners of his local constituency. Those lessons remind him that true progress comes when leaders remember who they are serving. Ordinary people who want a better tomorrow for their families and communities. Rishi Sunak's story is still being written, but one message is already clear. In a world that often talks about differences and divisions, he stands as proof that talent, dedication, and a sense of duty can bridge every gap. For millions of young people watching him, he has become living proof that where you begin does not decide where you can go. Only your hard work, discipline, and will to serve do. Rishi Sunak's journey teaches us many things. Family values, respect your roots, and stay grounded. Education, knowledge is power. Invest in yourself. Hard work, no shortcuts. Work hard, stay focused. Service, success is not only about money, it's also about giving back. Hope, your dreams are valid, no matter where you come from. So friends, this was the inspiring story of Rishi Sunak, a son of immigrants, a student of the world's best universities, a successful businessman, and now, the leader of one of the world's most powerful nations. If he can do it, why can't you? Work hard, stay true, and never give up on your dreams. Thank you for watching. If you found this video motivating, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories from around the world. See you in the next video. Take care and keep working towards your dreams.